Hello and welcome back to another Demis Hellen tutorial. We are talking arpeggiators today. We're going to talk about how to create an arp sequence, whether it be like really simple or complex. You can make it sound more complex using certain tools like delay, chorusing. There's all different things that you can do there. But we're going to create a simple arpeggiated sequence, and we're going to obviously add some layers. I've created one here already for us to listen to. Then we'll create a new one, and I'll just show you how my kind of thought process works on that. You know me, I like to keep things quite simple because the simple ideas always develop into the best ones. All subsequent videos, I'm going to do one arpeggiated sequence for the next 7 days. These short, small videos are going to be posted on Instagram and Facebook. So they're not going to be here on YouTube. This is just the first one to kick off the 7 videos. I don't want to clutter up the YouTube feed with videos that are not up to the same length and level of detail as all my previous videos. So they're going to go onto the social media sites. So if you're already following me there, you'll see them anyway, drop every day in the morning. If not, you can watch this video and obviously use it to your advantage. So let's have a listen to the first one, and then we'll walk through how it started, the idea, and let's just say this is C minor. Alright, so that is the arpeggiated sequence, and I said C minor at the beginning, and that is the first chord, the first 3 notes using that chord, and you can see C, G and E flat. But instead of hitting it as a block chord or as hitting in order, it's going from top to the 5th to the 3rd. Okay, and then it was just improvisation from there, so it's going from bum, bum, bum. Okay, very simple. They're the 2 chords that were used. So you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's it. That's as simple as it gets. If you don't have music theory, you can just copy these general ideas. You can see that the chord, the first chord is just top. So it's the bottom, top, middle, and then it's the bottom, middle, top. So it's just alternating a sequence of the way the notes would work. So instead of just going, sounds okay, but it doesn't have that much interesting kind of feel to it till you just reorder the first chord. There we are. So the first part was what I came up with, which is this. Too repetitive. This is just the question, so if you've heard this before, it's the question and answer, the call and answer. The music's got to talk to each other. So that is just the question repeating. That's like someone asking the same question over and over again. This is the answer. So you can hear that it has a nice loop round. It sounds like it's resolved and goes straight back to the beginning and wants to start again. It's not forced. It doesn't feel like there's a jump. It just joins nicely. So this bit here was just improvised. There's no structure to it. It just went up from that. So you can hear that note hits up there. That's the first, in the first bar there. So then I just repeated those 2 notes from the same section before, which is the E flat and D. And you can hear that this bit is just a repetition of this. And then instead of the A going up to the top, it goes down. So it's exactly the same, apart from the starting note is an A sharp, a B flat, sorry. So the B flat is down there instead. So very simple, it's just moving a few notes around, keeping that same core idea in the middle there, as you can see. That technically should be a shorter note, just so you can see. There's no reason for the longer notes, it's just the way it was played and quantized. Okay, so that is the first one, and then this was just like the notes for the pace, and that's what I played in between, so it just went... So that's just playing in between notes to give it a rhythm, and then I put a rolling bass underneath. And you know me, I make my presets so you can build your entire kind of melodic and chord sequence in one synth, so you can get an idea of what it's going to sound like, and then you can split all the ideas off. You can take this for the bass, and then you can take these for the melody, and then you can build your chords and everything else. So that's why that's all done in one. And then I've just moved the bass notes to where I thought it sounded quite nice, and that was that full piece. So let's create something different. Let's create this live, and we're just going to start on A. We're just going to use all white notes, start on A, and we're not going to confuse anything here. So let's just hit record, make sure metronome is on. Okay, so there's two ideas there, roughly and loosely played there. Let's just jump into those ideas. So this was the last one. We'll get rid of these because they weren't what we were looking for. All right, so here is... Let's turn off the metronome. Let's tighten up the quantize. Let's do the quantized lengths. Which for some reason is not working, so it's quantized it to the wrong length. But hey ho. Alright, so we have that as our pattern. So let's just have a quick listen and then we'll analyze it. Okay, so that one has a totally different rhythm to this one. There's a gap, and this one just kind of continues that spacing throughout, which I'm not a fan of that one, but I am a fan of the notation, just not the rhythm of that final part. This one, this bit is not too strong, because it just rises up, and it's just very kind of rooky. That's it. So let's have a look at the first part. So we've done the first part of an A chord here, which is the A and the C. And the only reason I haven't gone any higher is because the keyboard I'm playing on doesn't go any higher than that. So the B sounds quite nice there. The half step instead of the whole step. Then we have the G and the A. So all I'm doing is hovering around that same area. Just creating that theme. It already sounds like it has an answer. That's the question of like, who are you? That kind of, are you? Who are you? So there's your question. Now your answer needs to be strong, and this one isn't. Whereas this one has a strong pulse to it. So we're going to take this idea, and we're just going to copy that. I'm going to delete all of that, and I'm going to delete that and have that answer there. So let's listen to what it sounds like now. So there's a little bit of a kind of a gap, even though there's physically a gap in each section. This one sounds like there's a bit of a more of a jump because we've gone to a really low note. Whereas if you listen to this first one here, it jumps to a high note, but then it goes back to a very familiar section. And that gap there is exactly the same at the start of the bar between those two notes. But it doesn't sound like it's taking too much time because it's going up. Your brain is perceiving that higher pitch note is a shorter gap, whereas this one going from a higher note to a lower note gives you that spacing. Just a little bit slower. It sounds okay, absolutely fine. So we'll copy it over and we'll keep that first original idea. And then on the second idea here, let's change this note to, let's just have a look. Let's just go back down to the G there, so it kind of goes, yeah, so it would go, might sound a little bit rubbish. And then create some distance between those notes, and that, see, it's not as strong, but the gap doesn't seem as long. But I think what we'll do is we'll keep that. It's okay. It's probably not the strongest of trance ideas, but we're not focusing on trance. We're just focusing on creating some arpeggios, and then we can use it at a later date for something. So I'm just going to put a rolling bass in there for a second. Okay, so it's got some energy. I'm just going to drop them down, and what we're going to do is fill in the gaps. So I'm just going to copy this and fill in the gaps. So you can see here, use these notes then to fill in all the sections where there are no notes currently playing. Okay, so we have that, and it's the same pattern all the way through. Copy those over, there we are, and now we have this. Okay, so we could have a higher option there, so let's just do that and then we'll end the video there. So instead of this going up, I've just shifted down my keyboard so we can accommodate some higher notes. Okay, that sounds like it could go somewhere, so it goes from there to there. So very similar to that first one, so that first arpeggio I showed you, so it goes bottom, top, middle of your triad A chord there. So let's have a listen. See, we're sounding really good there. I think it's going to be a simple case of alternating those so they all fall down to this section. So a little bit cheese, so let's have that rise back up there maybe. Brilliant. And now we can change this whole section here and copy this over. So now we've got a repetition of the same idea, but just like in the first one here, this first idea, we took that core idea over, and these three core notes are in the middle. It's just the beginning and the end that is different. So let's do something very similar. So let's not have that first note start there. It could go back up to C, then the same three notes, and then this where it starts at A. So let's just try that. So drop that to F, G, and then it rounds back down to A. Let's see what that sounds like. A little bit weak, a few adjustments. So we'll keep the same, it sounds nice going back to that same position. Just going to add an extra roll note there in there, just to give it some edge. Let's go back to the E. Let's just have a roll down there. control up. There we are. We have a nice arpeggiated sequence there. It's now got a 4-bar variation. Okay, and let's just quickly adapt the bass line to this. Let's just change it all around a little bit to match what's going on. So we'll go down to an F, I think. See, that sounds quite moody. We'll just have a bit of a rise there. There we are. There we have it. So feel free to download these arpeggiated sequences, whether it's the simple one, whether it's the more complex one, or the first one that I created here off camera. And just remember, this one does sound quite nice on E, but it's all down to personal preference. Okay, so there we are. We have the arpeggiated sequence. If you just want a quick look at the preset that I created for Rapid here, just a quick look through 3 unisons on a detuned 40% saw here from the multi-tables, the analog saw with some drift, and then we have an attack preset there to give it a little bit of bite on the front end. We're using the Legacy LP there to give it that kind of classic sound. It always gives that really nice, soft approach to the kind of sound design, and then obviously boosted with a bit of tone fuzz there. And then the second layer here is a tube sign, which just gives that lower portion a little bit of weight on the bottom end of the synth, but not too much, just enough to kind of get in there. And you can see I've reduced the bass on these presets, obviously to accommodate this taking control. Yeah, and that's the preset. A bit of equalization sent through to some delay and reverb, so nothing too drastic there. And then these are filters that open up the cutoff and increase the tone fuzz, as you can see there. This one is introducing, in fact I don't think that's a sublayer, I think that, yes, this is introducing the sublayer, but adding some saturation to that, as you can see there, turning the mix up and down. And then this is just the reverb mix. So you can see it adds more delay in there, and also on the reverb mix here adds more reverb. Okay, so there we have it. That is the arpeggiated sequences. If you enjoyed the video, of course, leave me a comment down below. Hit the like button and also subscribe. 3 videos per week. It will happen, back on schedule. Here we go. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.